Good morning, everybody. I'm going to be winterizing my inboard engine, and I had a couple of members at the yacht club ask me how I do it versus how other people do it. So I thought I'd do a really quick video. It really isn't that complicated. So in my case, I have an inboard diesel, although if you have an inboard gas, it would be the same process, and I make it very simple. And all you need is a fairly large. I use like a 5-liter bucket. 5-gallon bucket, clean bucket, make sure it's clean. I have, of course, the hose for getting some water supply, because before we winterize, we're actually going to flush it with salt water. Now, my boat's actually in fresh water, so even though some guy says, well, you don't really need to flush it because you're in fresh water, I flush it anyways. But if you're in salt water, you do need to flush it. You probably need to flush it 2 or 3 times a year, by the way. So for that, there should be another way for you to do it while the boat's still in the water. However, mine, as you can see, is on the cradle. So you need a water supply. I have here a fairly 9 or 10-gallon liter of basically just antifreeze for plastic pipes and all that you would use at a cottage or whatever. I need a 1-inch hose. I like it see-through so that I can actually see as the water is going to pick up. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to be putting this end here inside the water intake underneath the boat. The other end I cut with a little bevel here, as you can see, so that if it gets at the bottom of the barrel, it's not going to, come flat onto the bottom and then not suck any more antifreeze. But I'll be able to see the water go up through the transparent hose, and then once I'm happy that I've flushed the engine with fresh water enough through the exhaust, probably about I would say about a 5 minutes. Well, fresh water, right? So about 5 minutes of running the engine at about 1800 RPM, just to get as much water through it, fresh water through the whole process. And then after that, I'm going to switch the hose into the antifreeze bucket. And then I'll see the antifreeze come out. When I start seeing the pink antifreeze come out through the exhaust, I now know that the antifreeze has gone through all the engine and the water channels through the engine, as well as fill up my exhaust. So the exhaust system has I call it like a kettle, if you will. So it does have water in there, and some people like to drain that. It's a lot of trouble, I find. So as long as I know I have antifreeze coming out of the exhaust in the back of the boat, I know that exhaust, the muffler, if you will be filled with antifreeze, and that's all I need. Once I see the pin come out of the exhaust, I'm just going to shut the engine off, and that's it. I'm done. So I'm going to do that right now. I wanted you to pay attention to a little something that maybe some of you don't know, that that's a very good idea. So let me stop this for just a second, and I'll reset it, the video. So I wanted to show you my water intake. So you see the water intake is actually a valve. Now most boats have just a hole, and that's it. And that goes inside, and it goes to the primary intake water filter, which, by the way, I always clean that filter before I start this process of flushing the engine. So make sure you clean that. But I bought this at a chandlery in Toronto, and it's really, really smart because first of all, it's easy. I'll be able to just open it here very easily, and then I'll put the hose through there. But I wanted to show you. Hold on here. Let me just get this off here so I can show it to you. There you go. Put that there so we don't lose it. Got a gasket here. There you go. So you see how it opens up. So you see these little holes here. So that allows water to get through really easy, but no branches or stuff like that. Because there was one year when I cleaned the filter in the water intake, there were little branches actually stuck in the filter. So this stops you from clogging your intake, especially when you're traveling. And the 1-inch hose is actually right there. So I'll be putting the 1-inch hose in through there, and then I'll be able to start the engine. So there's the setup. So now I have the 1-inch transparent hose going into the water intake. I've got it in at the bottom. I use one of these large clothespins to keep the hose, from coming back out or whatever. It'll hold the other end for sure in the water. And then I have my intake water. Once I start the engine, I'm going to see. It doesn't take much water, by the way, but when I take the engine, I'll actually turn on the hose so it keeps the bucket nice and full as the engine keeps running and flushing and all that. So the idea is to make sure that the other end of the transparent hose is in the water at all times and not trying to come back up. So the the clothespin helps it keeping that in position where you want it to be. Okay, so now I just started the hose, so the water bucket's flying through, and I have my hose into my intake. Now I'm going to go start the engine, and then you'll see how it all goes, how it all works. I'll leave the video going. You can always zoom forward if you need to, but I'm going to start the engine. Hopefully you'll see the water coming up that pipe, that hose, sorry, that transparent hose. So there you go. So now the engine is running, and I hopefully you saw the water go up. I couldn't see it because I was upstairs, but you see that the water is going well, and all that there coming out of the exhaust is all fresh water. So I'm just going to keep that going just to really rinse out the engine or flush it. And then what I'm doing when I'm going to be ready, I'm just going to take my bucket of antifreeze, and I'm just going to take the intake of the transparent and just put it in this drum, this bucket right here, and then I'll see the pink come up when I'm ready. So I'll keep flushing and I'll turn the video back on when I'm ready. Okay, so it's been about almost 10 minutes there. I ate a sandwich while this was flushing. So now I opened up my 5 gallon. I put it up on top of here of a shelf so that we've got about the same height. Now I'm just going to grab the water intake while the engine's still running. I'm just going to go ahead and put it in here. So now I see the pink going up. And now I'm going to wait and see about the pink coming out of the exhaust, which won't take too long. And there it is. You see how when you start seeing white bubbles, then we know we're ready. I'll go shut the engine off, and basically my engine winterization is done.